Milking cows, shearing sheep, chopping wood. These are just a few of the jobs you, a peasant, have to do on a daily basis. Oh, but the king and queen just made a proclamation saying that they're going to choose one peasant to work in the castle for the rest of their lives. Your lifelong dream. Oh, how you long to hear the words from the king that you have been chosen today. Join me as we learn how to play the game, King's Blessing. Mr. Becker here from Making Mathsters, and today we're going to learn how to play the game King's Blessing. King's Blessing is all about trying to complete a number of tasks for the king and the queen so that they choose you to work in the castle for the rest of your lives. To play, you need a couple things. First of all, today we're going to have another epic matchup between red versus blue, so you need some markers. You are going to need a game board of King's Blessing. I'm going to use a colored game board for you today. But you might be thinking, oh my goodness, I can't have colored copies for my kids just to play this game. Well, you are in luck because the black and white works perfectly as well. Or if you do like the colored one, you can go ahead and laminate that. And instead of these Crayola markers, use dry erase markers. I'm not going to do that for you today because the glare from the laminate would make it impossible for you to see with my lighting. You also need something else, and that something else is going to represent the amount of time that you're able to work on a given day for the king and the queen. This is a game all about fractions, and we are going to have two numbers that we are going to make into a proper fraction or a fraction that is equal to one whole. The fourth grade target, or the fourth grade standard for fractions, is that we are only using denominators of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, and 100. So this made it really hard to figure out, well, what is out there that we could use so that we could hit this target using those denominators. So there's a couple options for you. You know that if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I love dice. I love playing with dice. I love making games that involve dice. One of the reasons why is, stick this in front of a kid and tell him that he can't roll that die. He's just going to look at it, wanting to just pick it up and roll it. And also for this game especially, to me it's way easier to get some of these custom dice that we can use instead of some of the alternatives. So let me explain it. So we need a die that is going to, or we need something that can make a numerator with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's just your standard die. You could use the one that have the dots on it, but especially as we make fractions, I really do like the ones that show the digits. These are pretty cheap on Amazon. Okay, so we have 1, and then the other problem is, okay, well, what am I going to do for the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 die? Well, you can make your own. You search on Amazon again, and you can find these blank die that have the white circles that are stickers, and you can just put the stickers on the die, and all of a sudden you have a custom die that is a 1, 2, 4, 8, 10, and 12 die. Now, the stickers, these ones, sometimes the marker wears off. So there is another option, and you can buy these small wooden cubes, and then if you just use Sharpie, you can put the numbers on these cubes, and they're not going to wear off. They might not look as nice, but these are the ones that I give my kids, and I say, okay, this is yours, here it is. These are pretty cheap, less than $1 per kid for sure. And then they can always play the game if they just have one of the other normal 6-sided die. If you want to get really fancy, and I got really fancy because these are really expensive. Like, I mean, it would be less if you bought a ton of them, but I only bought 2, so I think these were like $5 a piece. But if you buy tons and tons and tons for, let's say, the school district, if I prove to you that this game is worthy, then it might only be like $3 a piece, which is still probably not what you're going to do when you can get one of these for a much cheaper option. But because I wanted to see how it looked, and because I was making a video, I wanted to have a professional looking die that was a 1, 2, 4, 8, 12, and 10. So that's the one I'm going to use, and that's why you won't be able to find this in stores unless if you make it yourself. So these are the dice that I'm using today, and we are going to form our proper fractions, or fractions equivalent to 1 whole, using those. Now, some of you might be like, well, I don't want to use those dice. I don't want to make these. And I would say, okay, the only other alternative I have is you can make your own dice on like this index card, in which it's customizable, 1, 2, 4, 8, 10, and 12. But I did it one year, let the kids take them home, and they got absolutely crushed in their backpack. And the other option would be, I would say, is you can make these spinners and then cut them in half, and then you can form your fraction based off of that. To me, the dice are way better, and these are really cheap, and they don't take that long to write the digits on them. So you need that. If you don't have anything like that, then unfortunately you can't play King's Blessing. Strongly suggest this game though, because of, I mean, just invest in the game, invest in the dice. I mean, we spend way more money on other things than just simple dice. And I don't want to like brag or anything. I really am just doing this to try to convince you that I firmly believe in this game, that it develops just an enormous amount of number sense dealing with fractions. My students take a standardized test every year. We take the Smarter Balanced Assessment here in the state of Washington. I have made this game now a little over 2 years, and I've had 2 classes now play this game and then take an assessment on it. And I just want to share with you the results of their interim tests that they took. So it was a practice test after we did fractions, after they've been playing the game for a long time. And if you know anything about the Smarter Balance, these might look really familiar to you. And if you don't, let me explain it. There are 3 different like categories. This one is like the lowest. This is the below standard. This one is the at or near standard, and this is the above standard. This is all dealing with fractions. And these are the scores of my students this year. I had 2 that were below standard, and those 2 students actually got pulled out for the majority of my math class, and the rest of us were at or near or above standard. Now, you might be thinking, well, you only have 17 kids. Yes, and the year before I had 28, and it even looked better because I didn't have any below standard. And now you might be thinking, well, what type of school are you at? I am at a school in which we are close to 80% free reduced lunch, a lot of poverty in the area. Definitely not a school that a lot of people would say could have results like this. I firmly believe that King's Blessing is a major reason why we do so well in fractions, and it really builds the foundation, especially at 4th and 5th grade. So maybe that could convince a bunch of you to buy some dice. So here we go. King's Blessing, the game board is split up into different sides. On this side we're going to have blue, and on this side we're going to have red. So you would be sitting across from each other. You roll a die to see who goes first. Blue rolls a 5 and red rolls a 4, so blue is going to go first. So blue goes first, and he's going to roll, and he rolls a 4 over 4. Oh my goodness, what a roll to begin with. Remember that the dice represent a proper fraction, or it represents a fraction equivalent to 1. It also, now think about the game. You are a peasant and you are working in the fields. The dice represent how much of the day you are actually able to work. There's a lot of storms on your island that you are working on, serving the king and the queen. So a lot of times you do not get to work the full day. Blue just so happened to roll the fortune of the gods or whatever, say that you were able to roll enough to work one full day. So he can work tending the cows, milking the cows, getting the grain, chopping wood, tending the pigs, picking apples, getting water from the well, or shearing sheep. Or there's this thing called the king's and the queen's blessing as well. Each full circle represents one full day. So because I have one full day, I can fill in one complete circle, and I'm going to fill in all of my fifths down here. So blue shades in all of these fifths. 5/5 is one full day of work. Red's turn. Red rolls, and he is a, well, is it a 4/1 or is it a 1/4? Remember that in this game there are no improper fractions. So, unless they're equal to 1, depending on your definition of proper and improper fractions. So red gets 1/4. Hopefully I can do this upside down. So red gets 1/4 as we're looking at the dice, and he could shade in 1/4 of the grain. But maybe he didn't want to do that. Maybe he didn't want to gather any grain. He could actually do 2/8 for apples. Or he could do 3/12 tending the sheep. He can do whatever one he wants. He's just going to do 1/4 for picking the grain, gathering grain. Blue's turn. Oh, I should tell you how to win the game. Winning the game is you are trying to finish 4 out of the 7 tasks first. So once you finish a task, you fill in the crown, meaning that the king is looking favorably upon you, and you get the crown. And the first to 4 crowns is the winner. Blue's turn. Oh, he got lucky the first roll, and now very unlucky. A lot of storms this day because he was only able to work 1/12 of the day. Well, 1/12 of the day, he must either go here for shearing sheep, or he could fill in 1/12 for the queen's blessing. Let me explain this for you for a second. If you fill in all of the remaining pieces of these holes, you get the king's blessing. The king's blessing says, when completed, you may re-roll the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 die every turn. Every turn. And if you do the queen's blessing, then you can re-roll the 1, 2, 4, 8, 10, 12-sided die every turn. If you want. It's up to you. But if you do choose that you want to re-roll using those blessings, then you must. Okay? So I don't have any of those. It's real early in the game. I'm just going to shade in 1/12 up here. Red's turn. Red rolls 2 12s. Well, his options are, well, 2 12s, or he could roll 1/6, or shade in 1/6. He's going to do 1/6 for the pigs. Blue's turn. 2 fourths. Wow, lots of options for the fourths. 2 fourths he knows is 1/2. He really wants to make sure that he gets this crown, but he also might be going for that. Maybe he's going to try to beat the people with the grain. So he's actually going to, the person doing the grain, so he's actually going to do 2 fourths here, and it's going to be Red's turn. Remember, it's the first person who finishes gets it. 2/3. 2/3 for Red. That's over 1/2 he knows. He's going to try to beat out Blue for the sheep. So 2/3. He knows this is, if this is 2/3, then he knows that this would be 8 12s, because that would be the same amount. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So he shades in 8 12s. 8 12s. Blue's turn. Blue rolls 4 8s. He's still going to go. Well, 4 8s. He could fill in the 8s for the trees, but he doesn't want to. Instead, he wants to shade in 2 4ths for the grain. Now he's beating red. Red rolls 1/3. He could do 1 2 3 4. That's a third. So that's what he's going to do. 4 12s. All of a sudden, he's got 1 filled in. Blue rolls a 1 and an 8. So the proper fraction is 1/8. Not a lot he can do with 1/8. He's going to 1 2 3 4 5 6. These are 8, so he's actually going to try to get that king's blessing, he's thinking. Red's turn. 6 8s. 6 8s. 6 8s, he knows, well, that's 6 8s. Maybe if I broke 2 of these pieces and I put them together, all of a sudden that would be 4ths, and then that would be 3, so that's 3 4ths. So he's going to fill in 3 4ths, that equivalent fraction to 6 8s. And Blue's turn. 4 5ths. Well, Blue really wants this one, but he also knows that he's going to want this one. So he's going to try to fill in 8 tenths. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 tenths. Red's turn. Red rolls 2 8s. He knows that these are really close, so he's still going to try to go after that. 2 8s is equivalent to 1/4, he knows. Blue is going to roll, and he gets a 4 over a 6. All right, now, this can show a tremendous understanding of fractions, and especially leads to 5th grade standards that deal with adding fractions that have different denominators. He knows that 3/6 is a half. So he's going to break down 4 6 into 3/6. 3/6 is a half, and now he has 1/6 left, so then he's going to fill in 1/6. What a good move. Good move by Blue. Oh, Red rolls a 1 and a 10. That's only 1/10 of the day's work. He's going to fill in 1/10, and that's it. Blue's turn. 1/5. Blue still wants the 10ths and the 5ths together, so he's going to shade in 1/5 is equivalent to 2/10, so he shaded in 2/10. Oh, and now Red, 2/10 is the same as a 5th. Oh, he's going to try it here too. He could have done some 5ths or some 10ths down here for the Queen's blessing, but he's going to try to get this one. 4/10 for Blue again. 4/10. Well, Red was trying to go there. He's going to go 1 2 3 4. And now it's Red's turn. 4/10. 2/5 or 4/10. 1 2 3 4. Who's going to get it first? 2/10 for Blue. Red's turn. He needs a big roll. 2/4. Now, he could show 2/4 here, but that would mean that he would have to draw a line. Now, the king is a very wise king. The king has split up these tasks in such a way that it is the most efficient. So it is not allowed to take your 5ths and split that up into 10ths. You can't do that. The king is not going to like that, and he's not going to pick you then. So 2/4, he can't show 2/4 just with 5ths, but he knows he could show 2/4 with 10ths. He knows that 5/10, 1 2 3 4 5/10 is the same as equivalent to 2/4, which is equivalent to 1/2. Wow, this is very, very close here. And now Blue, very favorable. Again, my goodness, he got to work the full day's work. Now, he wants to beat Red here for sure, but he's got to figure out a way to do it. He can't just do 1 2 3 4/10 and say, oh, I'm done. Because the king says, hey, you can work the full day today, and if you only worked 4/10 of the day, the king is not going to be pleased. What a lazy peasant you are, he would say. So he's got to figure out a way. Can he use his full day's work to do 4/10 here? Well, let's see. So blue is going to do 1, 2, 3, 4/10. He's going to do 5 6/10, 7 and 8/10, and 9 and 10/10. So he did 3/5, which is 6/10, and then he did 4/10 for the grand total of 1 full day's work, which is equivalent to 2/2. He correctly did it, which means he gets the crown. So now blue has 1 crown and red still has 0. If you've watched Gumball Giveaway, a previous math video that I made, that game you were able to, even though someone got it first, you were able to maybe steal it later. That is not true in this game. Blue was there first, so blue gets the crown. Red can keep filling these up if he wants, but it's not going to do any good in order to get that crown. So, red's turn. Down 1 crown to nothing. 4/6. He really needs some good rolls, and he really has to try to beat blue in some of these. 4/6. He knows that he could do 3/6, which is a half, and he'd be left with 1/6, and he's going to fill that in right there. Blue's turn. Now blue is really close with his fifths, but red is trying to beat him there, and he knows that he's got to get 4 of them, 1/8. Not a very good roll. He's going to try with this king's blessing down here. Okay. 6/8. 6/8 for red. He knows that, okay, 8s, if I put 2 of those 8s together, I now have 4ths. And then if I put 2 of those together, I would have 3. So 3/4. 1, 2, 3/4. Red is getting closer with the 4ths. He's trying to get that crown for the grain. 1/5 for blue. And blue says, all right. He's 1/5 away. Red's turn. 4/12. Blue's got to think about, or red's got to think about this. Which ones is blue going to try? Blue already has 1 there. He's probably going to get that one. He's trying for that one. Then he would need 1 more. Maybe he's going to go for 6. Well, if I took my 12s and I put them into 4, if I put 4 in each one, that would be 3, and then it'd be 1, so it'd be 1/3. 1/3 is equivalent to 2/6, so red is going to fill in 2/6, which is equivalent to 4/12. Blue. 2/8. 2/8, he knows is 1/4. He doesn't want it. He put a lot of work into gathering the grain. He doesn't want to give that one up so easily, so he's going to try, and it's going to be a tough one, but he's going to try to do it. Red, 4/5. Now red knows 4/5. He is so close. He's going to try it, though. He's going to try it. 4/5. Now, one thing with this is that it is possible for blue to run out of options to be able to do the full amount of work that he was supposed to do. For example, let's say that he rolled another, let's say that he rolled a 1 hole. Let's say that blue rolled 1 hole and he wanted this, which would be a 5th. He doesn't have any more 10ths left, and he doesn't have any 5ths down here, but he does have 1, 2, 3 10ths. So it is possible for him to do 1/5, which is 2 10ths, 1/5, which is 2 10ths, and then 2 10ths, 3 10ths, 4 10ths, 5 10ths, and then he would have to shade in a half, which he can do lots and lots of different places. So it is still possible for him to do that. But let's say that he had these filled up and he wanted to do that. He would not have an option to do that full day's work anymore. So he would have to find somewhere else to go, or he can pick rocks. pick rocks is an all-day activity that you really don't want to do. It just means that you skip your turn. All right, it is Blue's turn. He wants 1/5. He gets 1/4. He knows that there's not going to be a way for him to get that 1/5 with the 1/4. Even though 1/4 is bigger, there's no piece that is going to be that difference between 1/4 and 1/5. So 1/4, he's still going to try for this one now. He could roll one hole and he could steal this crown pretty much from Red, who's already closer. Red really needs a half here. He really needs a half, and he gets a 4th. Oh, he's going to shade in a 4th. Blue's turn. If he gets a one hole here, all that work for Red is for naught. 4/5. He knows 4/5 is 8/10. So Blue, a great understanding of fractions. He knows that that's 8/10. So he is going to take half, which is 5/10. So he used up 5/10. A 5th is 2/10. So now he's at 7/10. And down here is another 10th. So he correctly did 8/10, which is equivalent to 4/5, by doing a half, a 5th, and a 10th. He now got this crown, and Blue is off to a commanding lead. Red really needs this one. If he doesn't get this one, it is going to be really hard for him to come back. 5/8. Oh, let me change that over here. 5/8. Well, he knows that 4ths he could do. He knows that... This one's got to really think about, though. All right, so he's going to shade in 1/4, but he can't fill the crown in yet because he hasn't correctly shown 5/8 for all of them. So he did 1/4. He's going to do another 4th here, which is 3/12. So now he did a 4th and a 4th, which is a half. And he knows that 4/8 is a half, so he still has 1/8 left. So he's going to fill in 1/8. Now, he has correctly filled in the crown. Wow. Great mathematical thinking by Red. Blue's turn. 1/5. Okay. Blue, he's got 2/10 down here, and he's going to do it. Maybe get the Queen's blessing at the end. 6/12, he knows equivalent to a half. Now Red's got to think this through. This one's all done. This one's all done. This one's all done. He's got to get a half somewhere. He's going to fill this in. He's going to fill in a half. Now, it doesn't matter if I still had these left. The amount of time that it's going to take me to tend to the pigs is still going to be the same. So, Blue's turn. 1/6. And he says, all right, if you're going for 6, I'm not going to let you get that so easily. I'm going to go for 6 as well. Red's turn. 2/5. Now, this isn't going to help Red too much because 2/5, 5ths are already taken. 10ths are already taken. He's going to fill in some 3/10 down here and then another 10th, which is equivalent to 2/5. Maybe he can earn the Queen's blessing. 1/8. Blue, he still doesn't really want to pick apples, so he's going to try to fill that in. Oh, Red. Finally, Red says 2/2. A full day's work. Red definitely needs to take advantage of this roll. So, 2/2. He's going to pick... he's going to do maybe 2/3. And that's going to be left with 2/6. So 2/6, which is a third, plus 2/3 is going to be one whole. All right, Blue, 2/5. Now, Blue, although he started off real strong with the 5ths and the 10ths, he has used up all of those fraction pieces. he can't do fifths because there are no more fifths, and he can't do tenths because there are no tenths, which means he has to pick rocks, the all-day activity, which means he really does nothing on his turn. Let's say, though, that blue, for some reason, he was playing really, really well. He thought that 2/5 was the same as 3/8, and he shaded in 3/8. Well, what do you do when someone who makes a mistake in marker, if you're not using the dry erase board, what are you going to do? Well, you're going to take out some sort of black marker, you're going to take out some sort of black pen, and you are going to put X's next to this, showing, hey, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. So, blue made a mistake on that turn, so now he does nothing, and it is red's turn. If you are using, if you laminated this, dry erase markers obviously just erase the wrong answer, and he loses a turn. 3/4 for red. 3/4. Well, he's still going to try. He's going to do half for the 3/6, which is half, and then he has a fourth left, so he's going to go over to his 12ths and shade in 3/12. And as your kids are doing this, make sure that they are telling their partner, whoever they're playing against, what they're doing, and make sure that the partner is saying, okay, yep, that is true, because if kids are just saying, and they might not even be paying attention to what the other person is doing. So make sure that they are checking each other's work. Oh my goodness. Blue, another hole, 2/2. Well, he could do a full hole here, and yeah, he's way behind. That's what blue's going to do. He's going to do 3/3, which is equivalent to 2/2. Red's turn, 5/12. Red wants that, but he also knows that yeah, red's just going to do 5/12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Blue's turn, 2/10. Once again, there are no more tenths or fifths for blue to use, so he has to pick rocks. Red, 3/8. 3/8 for red. Let me get the red one. 1, 2, 3. He is going to start picking apples. He knows that blue, even though it looks like he has 3, remember those X's means that he does not. 4/8 for blue. Blue does say, all right, now it is time to pick apples. 4/8. And now what you do with those X's is somehow just show that, nope, I did just do that, so cross out the X's. In that regard, it would be easier to use a dry erase board, like a laminate. Red's turn, 2/4. He knows his half. He's going to go for these apples. He's still going to go for these apples. 4/8 is equivalent to 2/4. Blue's turn, 4/12. 4/12 and so on. So that is pretty much, I'm not going to finish the game, but that is pretty much the game of King's Blessing. It is the first person to get 4 crowns is the winner. Let's just say that blue did have all of these filled in. And let's say that he rolled, and he rolled fifths. Now, he has the blessing down here, and 1/5 is not a very good roll. He might want to re-roll this one. It says, when completed, you may re-roll the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 die every turn. He knows that the chances are that he's going to get a better roll, especially because he doesn't have fifths left, so he's going to choose. He's going to say, I choose to re-roll this one. Whatever comes up, comes up. If it's a 6, well, he's stuck with that. So he rolls, and all of a sudden, he gets a half instead. So the blessings can be a very good thing, especially at the end of the game when you have rolls that you don't want to use, and you might just get lucky enough, fortunate enough, to earn the King's Blessing. So that's pretty much it. First to 4 crowns is the winner. And my goodness, the amount of knowledge that I've seen my students gather from just playing this game is incredible. There's times in which they do things in which I have to think, wait, okay, a half plus a 6 plus a, oh, yeah, okay. And they are becoming experts at it. So once again, please, I know the investment is there with buying some dice, but once you start playing it, you will quickly see that it was well worth it. That your kids will start to have this unbelievable understanding of fractions that you never really thought was possible. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, post them in the comments below, and like and subscribe to this page. Mr. Becker here from Making Mathsters. Have a good one.